where is the middle of this Dorito? Wrong. It's actually not there. It's these four. Yes, I said four. They're all different, but they're all correct. So which is the most middle of the middle? Which is the most correct? Well, if you want to find that out, and actually why they're all different to begin with, you need a pack of hula hoops and a pencil. Imagine stretching that hula hoop so it just touches the corners of all of those Doritos. The exact center of that hoop, that is middle number 1. Now imagine balancing that Dorito perfectly on the tip of a pencil. The point where it wouldn't fall off, that is middle number 2. For middle number 3, imagine drawing a line from each of the corners of that Dorito straight to the middle of the opposite side. Where those lines meet in the center is another middle. And finally, imagine dropping straight lines down from the center of each corner. Where those meet in the middle is middle number 4. The weird part about this is that if you do this with any different shape of Dorito, or triangle for that matter, you find that all of these middles line up in one straight line. No one middle is more correct than the others, because they're all equally not the middle. The middle is a line, Euler's line. And this demonstration has massive implications on what the middle of anything really is. You see, a lot of people find maths quite boring, probably yourself included, because of the way it's been taught in schools. However, it doesn't have to be that way, especially when you start looking at the fun side of maths. Leonhard Euler is one of the world's most famous mathematicians, and hardly anyone's heard of him outside of maths circles, which is weird because his maths is some of the most interesting. It can be used to solve problems you never even knew you had. Where are you holding your phone right now? Because there's actually a best place to hold it for the best viewing experience. Or the best place to put your sofa to watch the TV. Are you doing it? This is the answer to Regiomontanus's statue problem. And it's simple. When you're looking at something tall, like a statue or a screen that's suspended in the sky, there is one position where it looks the most natural. From every other position, parts of it feel squashed or stretched or just off. You don't necessarily clock it consciously, but your brain notices. This is the reason that your neck gets uncomfortable, or why some seats just feel wrong to sit in. And also the reason why if you hold your phone too low to watch something, you start to feel tired. Imagine yourself from the side on, and a dotted line is showing you your eye level. If you're too far away, you're squinting to see the screen. But you get too close and you can't see everything. So where is this perfect distance? The same distance that shows cinemas where to put their screens in correlation to their seats. The same distance that shows engineers where to put viewing platforms for statues. And the same distance that shows museums where to hang paintings on their walls. Draw an imaginary circle overlapping the top and the bottom of your screen, and then place the bottom of that circle on the dotted line of your eyesight. And don't get me wrong, it looks odd from that angle, doesn't it? It looks uncomfortable. I mean, yes, theoretically, that is the perfect middle of your eye line to watch a video from, but you'd never actually dream of doing it, would you? And there's a reason for that. I said that museums use it to hang their paintings on the wall, but they actually don't. If you pay attention to a painting in a museum, you'll find that it's actually hung slightly lower than the center of the wall. And why is that? If this is the best place to mathematically view something from, then why on earth are they not taking advantage of that? Why do selfies look better when you take them from a higher angle? Why are car speedometers not centered to your view? Because perfect centers look weird to the human eye. There's two different types of middles at play here. One is the geometric center and the other is the optical center. Now, the reason for this is actually quite simple. You don't see straight. You see from above. Imagine, for example, a painting on a wall. When you look at that painting, your eye level sits above the center of the painting. So naturally, you look down in order to look at the middle of it. What this does is it puts the painting at the top of your vision, and this makes it look like the painting is higher than it actually is. So if museums put their paintings in the geometric center of their walls, they would all look far too high on the wall to us humans. Because obviously anyone who cares about this stuff like me is not human, and now we're in it together. Geometric or mathematically perfect centers are not natural to humans. And so naturally, we're not the best at finding them without using precise tools. But what's fascinating to me is that even before we had these precise tools, modern day mathematics, there were a group of people that were extremely good and consistent at finding them across the entire globe. And they are Muslims. The ancient Muslims were one of the smartest civilizations the world has ever seen. They built the Kaaba, which is their focal prayer point, in about 2000 BC. That's about 600 years after the creation of the pyramids. Ever since then, billions of Muslims have all been facing in one direction, towards the Kaaba, 5 times a day to pray. But here's my question, because how on earth did 4,000 years ago, people without these tools manage to find the exact angle to pray towards, despite where you are on the globe? Because people on the other side of the globe need to be so precise. Even 1 degree off could leave them looking at a completely different country. Well, the answer is staring you in the face anytime you walk into a mosque. The patterns on the wall aren't just there for decoration. They are effectively some of the world's biggest and oldest compasses. Islamic scholars were some of the first people on Earth to use geometry and astrology to calculate precise angles. Obviously, the North Star is north, perfect, but how did they then know how much to turn and in what direction from the North Star? When you rotate a star, what shape does the outside points of that star draw? A circle. If you set the top of that circle as north, the North Star, you can then rotate the star in the middle and use it almost like a protractor in order to calculate precise and exact angles that allow all mosques to point towards the Kaaba no matter where they are on the globe. And let's just appreciate that they managed to do this before the majority of Europe could read or write. And yet, despite this, they are still human. And humans are, as I've said, very wrong about the middle a lot of the time. And the Islamic scholars definitely weren't an exception. For example, in Indonesia around 2010, thousands of mosques were seen to be facing Somalia and Kenya instead of Mecca. And in Yalova in 2018, one mosque was recorded to be facing 33 degrees in the wrong direction for almost 40 years. Human beings are stubborn, we are naive, and we are very, very self-centered. For the best part of 1,500 years, everyone on the planet thought that we, Earth, was the center of the universe, which now, of course, it's obvious that we're not, but I can pretty much guarantee that you are still wrong about where the center of the universe actually is. The Big Bang did not happen at the center of the universe. I'm sorry to break your heart, trust me, I really am. But at least now you are smarter than 99% of the population on this subject. Let me explain. You see, the Big Bang didn't happen in space. It happened to space itself. At one point in time, whether that be the beginning or not, nobody really knows, every part of the universe was compressed together. But it wasn't at a single point in space, because space didn't exist yet. When the Big Bang occurred, and ever since then, all of space has been expanding. And that's all of space. Every single point has been moving away from every other point. Imagine that the surface of this balloon is space. Not the inside, that doesn't matter, just the rubber surface. And you are an ant that's living on that surface. There is no one point of the balloon which is the middle or the center, because of course it's just a loop. It's a sphere in all directions. Now remember, the inside of this balloon or the center does not exist to the ant that's living on the surface or space. It only exists when a different being can access a different dimension, us looking at the balloon from the third dimension. Now this gives way to two theories about the true center of the universe. One, the center of the universe is only visible to a being who can see it from a higher dimension, a fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way up to 11th, or maybe more dimensions. And this being, or beings that can do this, probably had a hand in creating us. Or even scarier, theory number two. If we were to reach the edge of our universe, the edge of space, it wouldn't be the edge at all, because it's a loop. This is also known as Einstein's closed universe theory, a proposed solution to general relativity. That means if you were to sit in one point of space and travel extremely fast in one direction, you would end up exactly where you started, which maths has proven is theoretically possible, which makes my brain hurt, so that's a topic for another day. So if all of the world's smartest minds over the course of history couldn't nail down where the middle is, don't feel too bad about not knowing where your middle is. Statistically speaking, the majority of you, and of course me, are quite far away from the midpoint of our life. But you never know. You could have already passed the middle of your life and never realized. 150,000 people will die tomorrow, of all ages, so make the most of it. Keep asking stupid questions, or at least keep watching me answer them. There's a couple links up here. But anyway, thanks for watching.